Okay, hi. Thank you for having me. I'm really honored. So yeah, he just said it. I am a fitness, nutrition, and mindset coach. I'm also a pro athlete in the World Natural Bodybuilding Federation. I won my pro card back in 2019, and ever since I have had kind of a hell of a ride with a lot of stuff, especially around the sports. So it required me to kind of grow a certain mindset that I maybe probably already had before that, but it certainly challenged me in ways that I would never thought I would be challenged in my life. And yeah, so actually, Tim Grover, like, he talks about relentless and being relentless and demanding more of yourself than anyone else ever could. And if you don't know who Tim S. Grover is, he was the personal trainer of Michael Jackson, and he has an amazing book. It's called Relentless. So that would be my #1 recommendation if you're kind of into that stuff. So just quickly about my story. So 10 years ago, I started with weightlifting. 3 years later, I already started competing in bodybuilding, and since 2019, I won the Swiss World Championship. I gained the pro card, and then I also competed already in the pro division in New York at the World Championship. 2022, I suffered from an injury, and I had to get emergency surgery on my spine. And as we all know, the spine is a very important part, like the training of the everyday movement, whatever. And people, or my doctors, told me I could be glad if I could ever squat again. Well, fast forward 2 years, I'm training heavier than ever, and I'm definitely considering competing, and not in the bikini division. We're actually talking the wellness division, which is way more muscular mass. So what kind of gets me there? One of my favorite quotes is, "A warrior must only take care that his spirit is never broken." Because the mindset, in my opinion, is everything when it comes to reaching your goals in life and also just getting through life. It determines who you are, and it determines how you do life. So when I had my injury, I woke up one morning, I could not get out of bed. I started crying, and I called my mom, and I was like, "Mom, I cannot get up." She was like, "Okay, we're gonna go to the hospital." We went to the hospital, and I had to get emergency surgery to fix it because my nerves were already damaged. They feared for them to stay damaged. 2 years later, half of my left foot is still numb. So the nerve is definitely damaged, but this is not, like, it didn't stop me. So I was back home. I was like literally bedbound. I could not move. I had to lay down for at least 3 weeks. From there, I could slowly start rehab, and I was a very, very active person. I was an athlete. I was preparing for my next prep. I could not train for several months up to this point, and this definitely, like, it has taken a toll on my mindset. Like, it was terrible. So I was about to, like, lose my biggest passion. I was about to lose parts of my job, right? I'm not a fitness trainer. I'm not like a coach, but still, this is so much about my image. It's my sports. It's what I represent to my clients. It's eventually my business, right? So in life, when you have a setback, you always have like 2 options. Either you focus on what you can control, or you focus on what you cannot control. You focus on what you can actually do, or you focus on what you cannot do. And so for me, I was already in the mindset. I was the kind of person, I was looking for what can I do in this moment, right? And there were still things. When we're talking fitness, I maybe was not able to go to the gym. I was still able to nail my nutrition to the T, and I did every single day. It was so hard. I ate up to, and I'm a small person, right? I ate up to 400 grams of carbs every day. I had to mix in stuff so that I would get in my calories, but I was so determined to do that. I nailed my water intake. We're talking like 5 liters of water every day, and if you have a hard time to drink water, like, it's really hard if you don't have like the output of the gym, for example. Whatever, I did it. I nailed my supplements, I nailed my rehab every day, even though I didn't feel it, right? You don't feel like doing your body weight exercises. If you're used to go to the gym, you feel like it's like, what's the point? Whatever. I did whatever I had to do in order to get back to where I was before, and not even that. I was already thinking further ahead. It was never an option for me to kind of accept where I was. Like, no matter what the doctors told me, and they were kind of mocking, I was like, I don't care. So I knew that eventually I was the one person. I needed to believe in myself. If I wouldn't believe in myself, like, then everything was kind of lost for me. And so for me, it's also not only doing about like what is in your control, it's also about what do you, like, what parts can you actually do? Like, you have to take responsibility. In life, especially I think when we have like setbacks, we tend to blame others. Or when things are not going our way, like the way we want to, we tend to blame others. And we try to blame the circumstances. Oh, I could blame people. Because I saw doctors for like 9 months beforehand. I was constantly getting treated by chiropractors, by osteopaths, by doctors, by the hospital, whatever. Nobody, and people always told me like, oh no, it's not a disc problem. Because the pain did not radiate down my whole leg. Oh, eventually it was, right? So, what would that have brought me after that injury, after the surgery, or whatever, if I would have to sit there and be like, yeah, the doctors, like, they were the problem, that I'm in this situation right now, would that have brought me further with my goals in life? Would that have brought me further to, or closer to where I wanted to be? No, I wouldn't. You have to take responsibility. No one is going to do it for you. No one is going to do life for you. You can blame no matter how much you want. In the end, it's your responsibility, right? I think a lot of people here, like, they had bad experiences with mobbing in school. I did too, right? I think there's about one year in my life I have no memories about. But because the mobbing was so bad, I must have like ignored certain stuff, whatever. Now I could be like, oh, I did not have like personal relationships or whatever because I had so much bad experiences. No, like, still, again, this does not bring you further. You have to take responsibility and you have to be like, okay, what can I do to improve these and these areas of my life? And so this is another big point. And when I talk to my clients, for example, so this is first I did I did only fitness coaching and nutrition coaching, but at some point I realized I can write the best plans. I can write the best training programs if my clients are not in the right mindset. They cannot execute. They will never get to where they want to be because they don't see them as these persons. And so this is when I started to incorporate mindset into my coaching because I knew that first and foremost we have to fix that, and when I say fix that, I mean we have to create this identity shift about what is the person you actually want to be. It's not about doing the things, it's way more about being the things. It's a whole lot different if you're like, oh, I'm a person like, I do go to the gym, or if you're like, hey, I'm a fit person. Then it's like, it's clear, it's so self-evident that you're going to the gym. It's not evident that you're going to the gym, even if it sucks. Right? Because if you don't go when it sucks, you will never go. And eventually you will never reach your goals. So it's about like creating this identity, it's creating this new version of yourselves. And from there you can actually reverse engineer and be like, okay, I want to be that person. What does that person, what are their habits, what is their identity, what is their mindset, what are their values, and what do I need to do to actually get to that point to be that person? And ever since I did that, like, it has changed. Like, everything has changed for my clients. And to experience that, like, when it's amazing to see when someone like loses, I'm sorry, I'm Swiss, like I calculated kilograms, so like 25 kilograms, right? I do have clients, they did that. I have other clients, they lost maybe 5 kilograms, so they have like a crazy body recomposition. It's like amazing, they look like a different person. But what is actually amazing is when they tell you that like their whole life has changed, their lifestyle has changed, their habits, like everything, how they perceive fitness, how they behave when they're on vacation, that they're not afraid anymore of like eating out, that they're not afraid anymore of going on vacation because they are afraid of falling off, they're afraid of not finding back into their habits because it's in their mind. And so in my opinion, the mindset is the most important thing that you can have. It's your best asset that you have in life. And people always want exceptional outcomes, right? they want exceptional. You know how often I get asked? Like, they're like, oh, so how long are you training? Like, that looks good, kind of that way. And I'm like, I'm training for 10 years. Yeah, I'm doing that for 10 years. I'm working out 5 times a week and I die every time in gym. So and then usually like people at that point later, they're like, oh, I'm not ready to do that. So very often it's like, it's not the same. So if you expect exceptional outcomes, you also have to be ready to give on that level. So it requires exceptional input. And that requires to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And this is the point where so many people are not ready to go to. And I think we all know that. I mean, it's the same, like if we're talking fitness, if we're talking like, yes, I'm sorry, you have to count your macros. Yes, you have to go to the gym even if you don't feel today. Or if we're like talking about building a business, I mean, it's literally the same, like also in every kind of situation, eventually you have to get comfortable with the uncomfortable to also, I mean, on a physiological level, it would be like that, your nervous system to the new challenges and to that new life. And this is, yeah, also something that a lot of people are kind of not ready to do. So motivation is what they're waiting for. And this is one of the number one things that I'm preaching and praying over and over again. Motivation will not get you anywhere in life. You can never rely on motivation. You know why? Because motivation is an emotion. And emotions come and go. Sometimes they're higher, sometimes they're lower. And I bet if we would leave our ways from emotions, like a lot of people will probably be in jail or dead already. So you will get nowhere by living your life by emotion. Eventually, it's finding a bigger why. This is the number one thing. Whenever I want to work with someone, I always ask about their why. Because if their why is not big enough, it's not gonna last. If it's just like, I want to lose 5 kilograms. So what is your why? That's not a big why. You know what the why is? The why is, for example, so that I feel fitter and I can play with my children or whatever. So I feel good in a bikini at the beach and don't need to feel bad next to my girlfriends who all look better. Or then I can finally like talk to the girl I want to because then I feel more confident. Confidence is built, and confidence is built by self-trust. And self-trust eventually also is so closely connected to your mindset because you build it from within. And you know how you build self-trust? It's something that I get asked so often. You build self-trust by doing the things that you actually promise yourself to do, right? Let's talk the fitness thing. You said like, oh, today I go to the gym, but then later you don't feel like. What do you think? What happens when you don't go? What happens with your friends? You know, we all have this one friend, like, they're like, yeah, we're gonna meet up, and we know exactly they're not gonna show up. No, these kind of friends, right? So what happens? You stop trusting them. You think, yeah, eventually they're like, they always break their promises, like they're never gonna, you stop trusting them. And it's the exact same thing that happens with yourself when you break the trust with yourself. And that is the absolute foundation of your confidence. When you know you can rely on yourself to do the stuff that you tell yourself to do even though you don't feel like, that is when you create self-confidence. So, yeah, I don't know, I feel like I've talked for quite some time and I guess it's kind of over. So, yeah. I think that was it for me. I think I could talk about mindset forever because it's literally such a big topic. And yeah, so if you want to know more or get in contact with me or whatever, just let me know.
Look at that, give it up for Angelina.